This is McCook, Nebraska's Mr. Bill, coming to you today and discussing war. Yeah, we hear a lot about the war on the other side of the world, in the Middle East, where they chop heads off and will blow up marketplaces, killing women and children by the dozens. We hear about that. But did you know we got wars going on inside the United States every day? Every day there are wars out there. And they've been going on for quite some time. Now, Kansas and Nebraska have been fighting over water since the 1940s and beyond. Kansas said they weren't getting their share of water, so they did a contract with Kansas and Nebraska, and Kansas is allotted so much water. They have to get that much water. The downside is when we have a drought up here, there ain't no water going to be going down there, and we get sued for millions of dollars. Now, I'm not saying we don't waste water up here. I'm not saying that, because we got a lot of irrigation, massive amount of irrigation that is here now that wasn't back then. Not counting every 8 miles there's a town, and most of the folks in those towns demand to have a grass lawn that looks like a carpet of green. And of course, add to the fuel to the fire is that we've got probably 1 million cottonwood trees, which is our state tree. They say they can't knock them down. I don't know why. Beaver do all the time. But there's 1 million trees sucking the water right out of the water basin next to the river, and 2 million cedar trees doing the very same thing. You get rid of those two alone would give everybody more water than they know what to do with. Be that as it may, Kansas is suing. Now, it is kind of funny, though, because you see, the South Fork comes out of Kansas into Nebraska and the main Republican River. The South Fork does. And then the two rivers that have united there then drift on down about 150 miles into Nebraska and then back down into Kansas, where Kansas says we're not getting our allotted water. But the South Fork used to run a lot of water. And today, that's right, today it's bone dry. And today it is bone dry. And it has been for 50 years, just shortly after they signed that contract with Nebraska. In other words, it was okay for them to short or cut off all water to us. But then when it comes the other direction, then we have to pay them millions of dollars for a lack of water. So many games are played in the war of Kansas and Nebraska. The latest war, well, that's simple enough too. Kansas this last week has made some threats, supposedly, that they're going to sue us because we don't have sales tax up here on food. They tax food down there, as the states all around Nebraska do tax food. But in Nebraska, we don't tax it. That's a godsend for the poor people like myself. With that in mind, though, they say that Kansas is coming up here and buying their groceries up here, their food up here, and cutting and losing millions and millions of dollars to Kansas in sales tax. Okay. And you'd say, well, it doesn't help Nebraska either, but it does. And why would it? Well, when people come up here to buy groceries, because they're getting sales tax free, the carrot, if you will, to draw them up here, they spend money on a lot of other directions as well, thereby making the state of Nebraska a lot more money than if they just taxed the people here and no one from the other states came in to spend their money. So it's a great opportunity for Nebraska to actually make more money tax-wise and for business in general, to have no sales tax on food. But if you think it's just one way and that Kansas got shorted, well, open your ears to this. You see, down there they don't have sales tax on farm machinery and the equipment and repairs. No tax on that. So our farmers in Nebraska go down there to have their stuff repaired and or buy machinery. That's right. That's right. That's how the game is played. They don't mind it that way if it's going their way, to the money. And Nebraska never threatens to sue either way. We're pretty mellow up here compared to the shysters that are running Kansas down there and some of the other states that bellyache about us not having sales tax. But needless to say, that's some of the wars we have. No, nobody gets violent over here. Nobody chops heads off, and nobody blows up a market killing women and children by the dozen. Of course, over here, oh, that's right. We're Christians, aren't we? The most we get testy with is just simply taking somebody to court. Sure a lot more civilized way of having wars, isn't it? Rate this film.